Hey, it's Dr. Rimka, your brain optimization expert, coming to you from my house. You can check out more information from me at drrimka.com. All right, really quick little video. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. So, ketosis, it's the big buzzword. Everyone's trying to get in a ketotic state, nutritional ketosis, ketogenic diets. These are all the big rage right now. You can go online and find a ton of systems to get you in ketosis, a ton of ketosis coaches, books on it, everywhere. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and Google it. I don't think I've actually written about it directly on my website because I don't have blogging time anymore. But what is ketosis? It means it's a nutritional state that the body is using primarily these fat bodies called ketone bodies. So basically thinking of it as it's using fat as the primary source of your fuel rather than glucose, right? Typically it happens in people who are very metabolically flexible, meaning we can go from ketones to glucose very, very quickly and it's no big deal. So you can have some fruit and then be able to quickly convert back into using your fat stores in your body when there's nothing. So if you're somebody that gets, let me give you a little quick test. Are you metabolically flexible or not? If you need to eat every 2 hours or 3 hours because you get hangry, angry, irritable, weak, dizzy, whatever, in a couple hours of not eating, you are not metabolically flexible. It means your cells are highly dependent upon using sugar and don't have the capability of going into your fat stores easily to pull out your own fat and use that to change it around and turn it into what are called ketone bodies, which are a very clean energy source for everything, but particularly your brain. All right? So, a lot of you are doing ketosis. A lot of you are doing ketogenic diets, and people are slathering fat. So typically people refer to a ketogenic diet as a low-carb, high-fat diet. And some people are just slathering on sticks of butter and tablespoons of coconut oil and really focusing on the fat. And the problem people are doing is they're forgetting about the protein. And they're limiting the protein. And I have to say I disagree really strongly with that whole way of doing it. So I have way too many people that are coming into me that are not hitting their daily protein goals at all because they're more concerned with adding a lot of fat. They're more concerned about the concept of gluconeogenesis, which is making glucose, generating it, neogenesis, from excess dietary protein. And they're doing a lot of what's called intermittent or extended fasting right now. And again, I teach extended fasting, water fasting, people where you don't eat anything. You just drink water for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever we need to do. Yes, I do that. I do it myself. People have seen me do that, okay? So when you're not eating anything, you don't actually hit any protein goals. We got that. Now, the other big rage is intermittent fasting, or IF. When people are doing that, they're shortening their eating window. So their feasting window in the day is somewhere between 1 hour, right? 1 hour or 2 hours or 4 hours. A very common one is 6 hours. Another eating window is 8. I wouldn't even call that fasting. I'm going to say my general rules are you should not be eating, little golden tip here, longer in an 8 to 9 hour window in your day. So your feasting window should never be more than 9, maybe 10 hours at a max. So that means if you wake up and have something to eat at 6 o'clock in the morning and you don't eat again until 10 o'clock at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night is when you're finishing dinner, that's a really long time, right? That's 15-hour eating window. All right, so I want you to think about that. So the feasting window. So when people fast, intermittent, they shorten that window. Well, if you're only eating 1 meal a day, which is some people call OMAD, it's really hard to hit those protein goals, okay? So yes, you can be in ketosis, but what is the reason you're trying to be in ketosis and what is the cost of that ketosis? So unless you're in ketosis to deal with something like stopping epileptic seizures, dealing with a cancerous brain tumor, or even going after something like Alzheimer's, you don't need to be cutting down your protein and fasting as much as you are. So I'm going to go against the grain here on this, on how much intermittent fasting has gotten a little bit excessive, because I can't tell you how many clients I have, and men and women both, to be honest. I think it strikes women more, that are simply not eating enough protein. So a little tip here, because I had the unpleasant, unfun moment of my day of being with one of my patients who was recently diagnosed with, we went from dementia, now we have actually seen amyloid plaquing on the PET scan, and it's mild Alzheimer's. So she's 75 years old and amazing, but what I've been trying to do to get her to change her diet has been truly unbearable, and I have not been convincing enough for her to make this happen. And now we're getting this diagnosis. So now I'm trying to explain to a 75-year-old about 75-year-old about ketones and what we have to do. And I'm like, this is why I have you on this supplement. This is why I have you on this. This is why I'm trying to get you to take away the cookies. Well, can I have the sugar-free cookies? I mean, those are the questions I get. And I'm like, I'm really trying to help you stop this process. Sorry, there's a plane and it'll be loud. So here's a little pro tip. Alzheimer's, dementia, any brain neurodegenerative disease prevention, okay? What is controlling that? Actually, it's the amount and quality of the health of your skeletal muscle. And this is not something that's talked about very much. Sorry, we got cut out. But that's what's actually going on. So as is your muscle, so goes your brain. This is why skeletal muscle is the platinum gold bounded nuggets of metabolism, of health, and the older we get, we cannot afford to lose it, okay? And the sad part is, now I've got 20-year-olds who don't even have any muscle. They never had any muscle. 15-year-olds, no muscle. 8-year-olds, no muscle, right? So, again, older we get, the more critical it is. I'm controlling the health of my brain by growing my skeletal muscles. The health, the blood sugar, insulin, all of this that goes on, why Alzheimer's is called type 3 diabetes. It's because it's related to what you're eating. It's because you're in a constant sugar, insulin dysregulation moment, because you're not in a ketogenic state most of the time. And your skeletal muscle is the one that's helping control all that hormonal signaling. And no one's working hard anymore physically. There's not enough hard exercise. There's no labor. Our lives have become very comfortable. So nobody cuts their grass anymore. Nobody cleans their house anymore. You know what I mean? No one's digging ditches and cutting down trees and going out and killing an antelope and all of that. Stuff that would give you natural responses to adapt. The muscle gets damaged, you have an adaptation, you get stronger. So the way we do that now is working out, throwing weights around and stuff like that. You need to do it a lot more than you are. Okay, but even at 2-3 times a week would be a huge thing. So, but you need to eat protein. So you get 2 ways the skeletal muscle knows to grow. Working out, hard, heavy exercise, extremely hard. You have to rip the muscle apart. Okay, walking does not count. I just had this conversation all week. Women want to walk. They say, well, I hike Stone Mountain or this. And I'm like, no. Can you go throw some rocks around your backyard? Flip a tire? Something. Again, walking is not hard. That's movement. It's not high intensity exercise, okay? Number 2, the only way the skeletal muscle gets a signal to grow is by eating a certain amount of protein. Has to be a complete protein, which means it's an animal protein because it has to have 2.5 grams of leucine. You have to do a lot of work on that on a vegetarian or vegan diet, so I'm not going to address that in a short live. So that means 30 to 50 grams of protein. Yeah, at least 3 times a day. So me, I'm like, I'm a 5'11", 145-pound woman. I need about 145 grams of protein per day, animal protein, complete protein. So I need more than 30 grams in each meal, right? So like what happens if I'm intermittent fasting and I'm eating 1 meal a day? Can I get my protein needs in that 1 meal a day? Probably not, right? I can't eat that much meat at once. And what's happening if I need to recover from an injury, right? Protein is a tissue regenerator, tissue builder. The fat inside the protein is where you get the energy. So you don't need to worry about eating all this extra fat. If you're hitting your protein goals and it's a fatty meat, like say salmon is kind of fatty, but like a ribeye, you know, bacon, they're very fatty. So you're pulling out enough of fat that you're getting plenty of energy. So out of that protein, out of that meat, out of that complete protein, you're getting all your essential amino acids, which are the building blocks of all your structure, and is the building block of all your tissue regeneration if you're recovering from disease or injury or illness or anything, right? It is very hard to turn this body into animal muscle and animal fat from plants. Very hard. So as I'm recovering from mold biotoxin illness, the last thing I need to do is make everything harder on my body. So if you're recovering from diabetes, if you're recovering from Lyme, if you're recovering from mold, if you're recovering from Hashimoto's, ALS, I don't care what it is. Why would you, and especially if you have a digestive disorder, you really can't break down plants. Why would you make it any harder? So you're not hitting enough protein. So that my really, like back at my weight loss seminars used to always do, my main number one goal, and I said it today, I had multiple people, I'm like, okay, I'll do a video. First thing I want everybody to do is hit 30 grams of protein 3 times a day at a minimum. Again, if you're a 6'4" guy, I want more than that. But I'm really stunned how many people are not eating the basic amount of protein. You don't need to go worry about ketosis yet, okay? Because if I give you all the nutrients that you get in like that red meat in particular, and with all the fat, you're going to have a lot of energy from the fat. Like your body's going to have the energy, and it's going to have all these amino acids. It's got plenty of vitamins and all that. So there's that. Only way I can get by without, yeah. So somebody even said, it's the only way I can get by without eating junk because it's satiating. So you can't, I don't ever tell somebody reduce all your carbs or reduce your sugar and you don't give them something in place of that. You need fat. Fat is what makes you happy. The protein is doing a different thing. So the best way to get that satiety, and that is a fatty meat. It's why many times people will snack on bacon while they're trying to give up sweets. So I love sweets. I crave them too. So now I have to snack on bacon every time I want one of those. And I'm not spiking my insulin that much. My blood sugar's okay. And all that. And so we'll get more into the debate of inflammation, all that stuff around it. But it's all about getting enough protein. People are not. And I'm looking at people and there's no skeletal muscle. People can't do pull-ups anymore, push-ups. You know, they can't do basic physical activities that everybody could do in the 50s. So ketosis, I think it's a huge, big mistake everybody's making by doing too much protein restriction and a little bit too much time-restricted feeding. I think the only reason you need to do time-restricted feeding, like the more carbs you eat, the more plants you eat, the more time-restricted feeding you need to do. So I'm just into kind of, once we get your hormonal signals right and you actually have normal hunger signals, most people don't in the beginning if they're dysregulated and sick. Don't trust your body, because actually it's so dysregulated, because people who trusted their body, they've eaten pizza and Skittles and Oreos. They trust their body. That's what their body tells them they want. So I don't tell you to trust your body. Actually, we need to reset it very specifically in a 6 to 12 week program. And then you're going to have normal food signaling, normal sleep signaling. And it's a very different story. You're going to feel completely different. So a couple questions I'll answer. How do I handle my vitamin D? How do I handle my blah, blah, blah? You need to get in the sun. I mean, it's a much more complicated question, Samantha, because I don't know what the cause of it is. Is it low cholesterol? You might not have any cholesterol. You might, I mean, you know, I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, I will recommend oral things, but I would say eat something like liver. Super high in vitamin D. I'd say eat food and get in the sun as a basic, even though I don't know, it's not medical advice, I don't know your situation. I'm not going to get my iron up more. Eat a steak. The same answer. You know, there you go. Because the iron in spinach doesn't count. It's non-binary. You have anemia. Yeah. Well, I would have to know a lot more information, but you should probably, not medical advice, most of my patients I tell to eat liver and steak. we got to heal their gut. If you have a leaky gut problem, blah, blah, but you can do all that from avoiding things that bind. So anyway, I'm going to go, guys. You're not hitting your protein, and you need to know your skeletal muscle is gold. You want to, and like, I have so much work to do. I wish I would have known even more about this. I wish I would have had the energy when I was so sick, and I would have had somebody hooking me up to muscle stim the whole time I was lying in my bed with such severe chronic fatigue. I was crying every day wondering if I would make it to tomorrow. That was real. I totally get it. But it's on me now. You know, like, I've lived my first 45 years the way I've lived it. What I'm doing today will determine how I live the next 45 years. So sitting with that patient today, who I absolutely adore, who now I'm going to have to try to explain, like, I'm explaining these concepts to a 75-year-old with mild Alzheimer's. And she wants to try to stop it, and yet is still asking me, but can I have these sugar-free cookies? And I'm like, oh my God, can you eat a steak? You know, step one, I got to get you in ketosis. I got to flood that brain. It's how we can stop, hopefully. You can prevent it this way. You can hopefully we can stop, and hopefully we can try to reverse it. So anyway, there's that. You're not eating enough protein, guys, because I see people constantly. And it's leading to depression and weakness and fatigue and all this stuff, and you can't tissue repair. So be careful being so chasing the ketosis numbers and testing and being afraid, oh, protein will kick me out. No, it's not. It's not. Okay? But you can learn more about it with some of my programs that roll out, you know. Go to drrimka.com, learn more, and I'll check you out. Ciao.